talk a little bit about how Apple plans to bring forth this iPhone 10. I mean, if they can't get those productions up, are they willing to sacrifice quality for quantity?
Well, if we've reported that they have made some concessions on what they're expecting from suppliers in terms of the specifications, the reality is that this will barely be perceptible to any user, and it may even be that some of these changes were made before they announced the specs at the last event. So it's a very fine margin of error in these components on the level of microns. It's less than the breadth of a hair, and trying to get that all in line and without any problems has been a big challenge for a lot of the component makers.
Alex, what's more important for the suppliers, getting it out there or getting it right? And I'm talking about their bottom line, because there's no point in getting it out there, like you say, if you don't get it right. And I want to point to a chart in the chart library, 9354, which shows exactly what happens when, suppliers are dependent on Apple. The blue line is an index of the top 10 Apple suppliers weighted by percentage of revenue derived from Apple, and you can see it's not tracking Apple shares as much as it used to.
Well, one of the big buzzwords when people are talking about this kind of thing is yield, and we heard that the makers of the dot projector, that's the component which throws all the 30,000 dots onto the user's face, infrared dots, clearly not visible, that yield and that component was at one stage less than 20%, meaning that 2 in 10 of the components that came off of the production line were up to scratch. Now, there have been some changes, and that is now above 50% for that component, and so when you're talking about making this difference, actually the two things are much the same. They have to work in order for the component maker to be able to make their money.